This afternoon, frightening new details about the alleged plot to bring down a passenger plane. Homes and businesses left in the dark as contractors accidentally cut power. A lucky escape as a ute ploughs through the front of a Windsor Gardens home. The antagonistic phone conversation between Donald Trump and our PM. And it's crunch time as the Crows and Power cut their squads ahead of Sunday's crucial showdown.
This is 7 News Adelaide with Rosanna Mangiarelli.
Good afternoon. Federal police have revealed in detail the allegations against 2 men charged over the Sydney terror plot. They say it was the most sophisticated they've uncovered and could have been catastrophic. More from Robert Ovadio.
It's certainly not often when men have just been charged, let alone with charges as significant as this, that police would give such extraordinary detail.
Let's turn to breaking news now, and 2 international Qantas flights have been forced to return to Sydney this afternoon with separate mechanical and engineering problems. QF7 to Dallas departed Sydney at 2 p.m, but shortly after takeoff, pilots realised the wing flaps wouldn't retract, so the decision was made to return. It spent the last 2 hours dumping fuel off the coast with 320 passengers on board. Meanwhile, QF63 to Johannesburg also turned around to Sydney due to a crack on the Boeing 747-400's windscreen. It landed safely about an hour ago. South Australians are being warned about the threat of flooding as a wild winter storm bears down on us. Amelia Mulcahy is at the Tea Tree Gully SES this afternoon. Amelia, authorities are on high alert.
There's no doubt about that, Rosanna. Volunteers are preparing for what could be a busy few days. 40 to 70 millimetres of rain could fall by the end of the weekend, with a whopping 120 millimetres possible over the hills. The Bureau has issued a flood warning for the Mount Lofty ranges, and they're warning that the deluge could lead to roads being closed around Verdun and Oakbank. I'll, of course, have more on that later in the bulletin, Rosanna.
Thank you, Amelia. A driver has been taken to hospital after crashing into the lounge room of a Windsor Gardens home. The 22-year-old lost control on McLaughlin Road just before 11 this morning. His dual-cab ute went through a fence before coming to rest in a bay window. Luckily, 2 people who were home were out the back at the time. Nearly 300 homes and businesses and the Women's and Children's Hospital in North Adelaide were plunged into darkness this morning by a sudden blackout. SA Power Networks has fixed the fault, but some shops are still counting the cost. Peter Caldecott has the details.
I'm here at a North Adelaide bakery where the blackout on O'Connell Street had a major impact this morning. Just after 5 a.m, the electricity went off, so the ovens couldn't work and staff had to be stood down.
Police have released a photo of a man wanted for allegedly holding up a service station overnight. Just before midnight, he entered the Main North Road servo armed with a knife. He threatened staff and demanded cash before running off. Despite a wide search, police were unable to find him. The Premier's rejected opposition claims of jobs for the boys following the rehiring of public servant Paul Flanagan. Late last year, Mr Flanagan was sacked from the Premier's department, but now he's back as Chief of Staff with Tourism Minister Leon Bignell. Donald Trump's White House has leaked again, this time with a transcript of his tetchy first phone call with Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. He told the PM he was being made to look like a dope, calling the conversation unpleasant, then hanging up.
We knew the call was tense, ended abruptly after just 24 minutes.
A woman who encouraged her boyfriend to commit suicide has been sentenced to 2.5 years jail in the United States. Michelle Carter bombarded Conrad Roy with text messages and phone calls before he took his own life in 2014.
Michelle Carter wiping away tears, sentenced today after being convicted of involuntary manslaughter.
An Anglican priest has fronted court in Melbourne on child pornography charges. 52-year-old Philip John Murphy was arrested after raids on a church and nearby home. More from Laurel Irving.
Father Philip Murphy has been an Anglican priest for 25 years, currently the parish priest at the Holy Apostles Church at Sunshine.
Laurel Irving there. Now still to come on 7's afternoon news, the race to build a multi-million-dollar high-rise in Adelaide's north. And later this hour, an important history lesson connecting students with Hiroshima survivors. Welcome back to 7's Afternoon News. Now recapping our top stories. Federal police have revealed in detail the allegations against two men charged over the Sydney terror plot. They say it was the most sophisticated they've uncovered and could have been catastrophic. Hundreds in North Adelaide were left in the dark this morning after workers cut a power line. And one of the world's greatest showmen, Robbie Williams, will headline next year's Adelaide 500. An international hotel chain is in the running to operate a $15 million high-rise complex in the northern suburbs. It's all part of a plan to make Elizabeth Adelaide's second CBD. Lauren Rose has more.
The 12-storey, 4.5-star hotel will be built here off Main North Road in the heart of Elizabeth.
We're checking finance now with Steve Daglian from CommSec. Steve, another tough day for the Australian share market.
Good afternoon, Rosanna. It was actually quite an uninspiring way to end the week. It was Friday, but the market didn't seem to care too much. The ASX 200 down for the third straight day, down by 0.25%. But the good news, Monday and Tuesday were good days for our market. And finally, Crown Resorts, the casino operator, fell 3%. Now, it made $1.8 billion in 12 months, but that had almost everything to do with the sale of its business in Macau.
Very healthy indeed. And the Reserve Bank had something to say today. What does this mean for interest rates?
It doesn't really mean a whole lot, to be honest. So they were a bit more cautious about how quickly the Aussie economy might grow over the next 12 months. They were a bit disappointed that Australian businesses aren't investing a bit more for the future, but also a bit concerned about the strength of the Aussie dollar, which is sitting about 10% higher now than before. Still, at the start of the year, rather, the Aussie dollar on that note's at 79.6 US.
Thank you so much, Steve. Have a great weekend. But time for sport now. And Theo, what's this about Eddie Betts? In or out? There's a bit of doubt over it.
Well, Rosie, he had that surgery on his appendix last week. If he gets through training tomorrow morning, you think, which I reckon he will, he'll get the green light. He'll be all clear. Also coming up, Australia's Matildas wrap up a stunning week in America by thrashing soccer powerhouse Brazil. Plus, NBA superstar Steph Curry shows he's got game on the golf course as well. Hello again. Angus Monfries will play his first game for the Power this season in Sunday's showdown. At Westlake's, Eddie Betts, Jake Lever and Brad Crouch have all made this afternoon's final cut. However, Betts is still in some doubt. We'll have all the latest team changes at 6. And there were pony problems for the peloton during stage 6 of the Tour of Poland. A runaway Shetland joined the race 100 kilometres from the finish. And while there were a few close calls, thankfully the pesky pony managed to avoid causing too much trouble. He was eventually ushered off the course back to safety. That's our sport at 4 o'clock, Rosie. I've never seen that.
It's quite extraordinary. You know, we get kangaroos, they get ponies.
Yeah, it's just a different world over there in Europe. Hey, there's plenty to come tonight, 7 News at 6. All the details about the all-important showdown. And Ollie Wines, you might want to tune in if you're a Power fan to hear how he prepares for a massive game. He's really insightful, Ollie. Excellent.
I'll be tuning in for sure. Thank you so much, Theo. But do stay with us. Still to come on the edition of 7's Afternoon News. Modern technology helping students to learn a valuable history lesson. And a local high-end fashion designer celebrates a very special anniversary.
Reports of lots of branches down, particularly about the hills and the southern suburbs, so please drive to the conditions. Still slow as well at Port Wakefield Road near Waterloo Corner Road after an earlier accident. Keep warm and get moving at Good Life Health Clubs with unlimited classes like Booty Barre and Emily Sky Ignite. Download your free 5-day trial at goodlife.com.au.
It wasn't all that long ago that school children would practice what to do should there be a nuclear bomb attack. Now, students are learning about the consequences, using modern technology to take Australian classrooms to Hiroshima.
A history lesson unlike any other. For these students, Keiko Ahura's childhood ordeal is unimaginable. Josh Adset, 7 News.
Well, now to Jane and John with a look at what's coming up at 6 o'clock.
Thanks, Rosanna. A Strathallan man who fed his neighbour's dog sausages laced with metal filings and glass has been sent to jail.
There's some good news for older mums-to-be. An antioxidant may help them retain their fertility.
We're being urged to batten down the hatches ahead of a wet and wintry weekend.
And speaking of that, the showdown, of course, don't forget Ollie Wines and Rory Sloane will join us to talk Showdown 43 preparations.
All that and more coming up at 6. Thanks, Rosanna.
Thanks to you both. Do stay with us. Still to come on 7's Afternoon News. All the glitz and glamour as a local fashion designer opens a new exhibition. And Amelia will be back with all the latest on the wet weekend weather ahead.
Get breaking news for Adelaide and South Australia on our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. For news as it happens, join 7 News Adelaide on social media.
But time for more on the weather. And Amelia, it sounds like conditions will certainly keep us on our toes this weekend.
They certainly will, Rosanna. Here at the Tea Tree Gully SES, a crew has just left to help with the tree down at Kersbrook, and they're anticipating more jobs over the next 24 hours. Today we've been tracking the first of 2 fronts that'll move through over the weekend. Now, this first front cleared through a short time ago, and there's plenty of shower activity and cold air in its wake. It's currently 10 degrees in Adelaide, but after all that wet weather, it feels more like 6. There's a chance of showers in the morning, but the main game is due around mid-afternoon, with heavy falls a chance about the hills. Even a thunderstorm is possible too. Now, showers should ease Sunday, but I wouldn't count on staying dry at Showdown. Of course, more on our wild weather in 7 News at 6. Rosanna?
All sounds crazy. Thank you so much, Amelia. And that's all from the Afternoon News team. Jane and John will have our next bulletin at 6, and I'll see you after that with Today Tonight. I'm Rosanna Mangiarelli. Goodbye for now.